All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Akeem, and welcome to this blog. Here to actually post a brand new video of my top 10 picks for the 2018 NFL Draft. I made a huge mistake. I was actually unaware of the trade that the Cleveland Browns made for they traded away Deshaun Kaiser for Demarius Randall and a draft pick, I believe. But this was actually a mistake that I made because I actually thought that Kaiser was still on the team, which kind of affected my opinion of what the Cleveland Browns should select. I was actually corrected by a couple of you guys, and I apologize for my mistake. I'm actually working on doing better and as far as my research, so I'm gonna actually make that announcement. I actually want to kind of redraft a little bit, redo this video of my top 10 picks of the 2018 NFL Draft. Now, the first pick belongs to the Cleveland Browns. Now, yes, they did trade to get Tyrod Taylor from the Buffalo Bills, and they no longer have Deshaun Kaiser. I believe they still have Stanton as the backup quarterback. So obviously, the Browns are looking to get quarterback with their either their first or their fourth pick. I think with the first pick, they will go with the quarterback, and I'm just gonna stick with Sam Darnold from USC. This kid is a gunslinger, and I think he has great passing ability. He has the size, he has the look, and he has the ability to play well with great talent. And I did like the additions of Jarvis Landry and Carlos Hyde, the running back and respected wide receiver, joining the Browns team, the Browns organization. Let's not forget about Josh Gordon. So they still have some good talent. They could use a consistent, great tight end. Connor Barnridge is not really did not play too well last year compared to the previous year, but Darnold will still have some good talent around him, and I think he can actually do well for the next upcoming seasons. But they do need to address the offensive line as well. Next up, pick number 2 belongs to the New York Giants. Now, I believe that they should possibly try to trade that pick away to get more selections to rebuild that offensive line and get more picks to help relinquish that offensive line. And I think that they should aim for the Buffalo Bills at number 12, who is definitely looking to move up just to snag a good quarterback for their respected team. But I do believe that Josh Allen should be still available with that 12th pick for the Buffalo Bills, but we will see. I know a lot of people have a lot of hype saying that the Browns should pick Josh Allen at number 1. I highly disagree with that. Now, for this particular pick, if the Giants decided not to trade, I still think they should go with Quentin Nelson from Notre Dame just to address the offensive line. They did pick up Jonathan Stewart from the Carolina Panthers, and I think in the later rounds they should get a running back. I know some people believe that they should get Saquon Barkley, but I think the running back, the depth at running back for the draft class at running back is pretty good, and I think they could get a good running back in the second round, Ronald Jones, or even Darius Geis if he's available in the second round. He probably most likely would not be available in the second round. Next up, pick number 3 belonging to the New York Jets via trade from the Indianapolis Colts. Now, this team obviously needs a quarterback, that new franchise quarterback. Now, they did pick up in signing Teddy Bridgewater, but he most likely will not be that franchise quarterback. And they did re-sign Josh McCown, but he's up there in age. I think they should go with Josh Rosen, the quarterback coming out of UCLA. I think he has definitely good poise. He didn't have the greatest talent around him. And for the Bruins, I still think this is a good quarterback. 26 touchdowns to 10 interceptions last season. He reminds me a little bit of Eli Manning as far as like the situation when Eli Manning was at Ole Miss. He didn't have the greatest talent around him either, but he still did well. Now Rosen was not as good numbers wise to Eli Manning, but he did have a great comeback against the Texas A&M Aggies last season. Next up, pick number 4, going back to the Cleveland Browns. And I think this is still a good selection. I don't really think they should trade down too much because they have the 1st and 4th overall selection. So they should get good quality players. With this pick, I am going to be sticking with Denzel Ward coming out of the Ohio State. I think he is one of the, if not the best cornerback entering this year's draft. And they can sure use a cornerback. And yes, they do need to address the offensive line. But as far as value and projections, I do not see another offensive lineman worthy of a top 5 pick. So I'm going to stick with Denzel Ward from the Ohio State. Next up is the Denver Broncos at pick number 5. Now, I mentioned before that they need a cornerback. They need an edge rusher opposite of Von Miller, so they could possibly look at Bradley Chubb from NC State. They still need a good tight end. Virgil Green is actually no longer with the team, so they could use a tight end. He actually departed as a free agent, and I think they really need to go at running back as well, because they released CJ Anderson. I think they're gonna go running back with this one. I think they should go running back with this one. I'm gonna stick with this. I don't believe they will go running back. They probably will try to trade this pick away as well, possibly to the Bills. But I think they should go with Saquon Barkley out of Penn State. He's a great, versatile athlete. He can catch the football outside the backfield. Just try to relinquish as much pressure for Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. They did pick up Case Keenum, and as far as they signed him to a 2-year, $36 million contract. So they try to get a running back behind him to solidify, to help the offense. But I do think they need to go, as far as offense-wise, they should look at a tight end and offensive line as well. They'll do that in the later rounds. Next up, pick number 6, belonging to the Indianapolis Colts with the trade with the New York Jets. Now, they can use a pass rusher, a linebacker, wide receiver. They need a good, stellar wide receiver opposite of T.Y. Hilton, and a defensive tackle. Now, for this pick, I think they're going to go with an edge rusher here and try to get that guy like in which they remind me back in the day, years ago, with Dwight Freeney, one of the top defenders in the National Football League while he was with Indianapolis. And I think the guy that they should select is Bradley Chubb from NC State. He had 10 sacks last season, and he was the National Defensive Player of the Year, Bronco Nagurski Award winner. Next up, pick number 7 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, they can use a running back. Doug Martin is no longer with the team. He is now with the Oakland Raiders. They need a cornerback, a safety, and they do need help in the defensive and offensive line. But I think at most they need a safety. Like I said before, they could get a running back in the later rounds. And my guy, they need to go with Derwin James out of Florida State. Due to his athleticism, and he's a better safety, in my opinion, than Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama. Fitzpatrick is more versatile, and that's what makes him a bigger overall prospect in some people's eyes over Derwin James. But as far as his athleticism and playing the safety position better, I will have to go with Derwin James in this one for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pick number 8 belongs to the Chicago Bears. Now, I mentioned that they needed a linebacker earlier, and I'm going to stick at linebacker with this one. I'm not going to switch the picks. I'm going to stick with Tremaine Edwards coming out of Vatech over Roquan Smith of Georgia, due to the fact that Edwards is bigger and a better fit of inside linebacker, but I do like Roquan Smith at inside linebacker, but he's at 225 pounds, so he's a little bit small, so he could probably transition to outside linebacker, and I'll talk about him in just a second. But I'm going to stick with Tremaine Edwards coming out of Virginia Tech for the Chicago Bears at pick 8. Next up, my San Francisco 49ers. Now, before I mention their pick, I will have to give you the heads up news that I received today. Reuben Foster's ex-girlfriend actually kind of switched her story up as far as the domestic dispute. She said that she was assaulted, attacked. She admitted that she was assaulted and attacked by another woman at a club, and not Reuben Foster. So hopefully things will get right back to par with San Francisco 49ers. But I think this definitely was a big heads up for Reuben Foster as far as the near future, and selecting the people that he should be around, the people that he should date. Hopefully he will mature out of this and learn from the situation. Thank God that that this situation did not go further. Like I said, his ex did admit that he did not assault her, threaten her, nor attacked her, physically abused her, which is great news for my Niners. Now, with that being said, some people thought because of the situation with Reuben Foster that my Niners should go with a linebacker, but we should go with the safety as well. Now, we also need a running back. Okay, I'm not really cool with the Jerick McKinnon signing. It was a 4-year, $30 million contract for a backup who I don't really see as a full-on take full responsibility starter. I see him as more of a tandem type back. I think we should have tried to find a way to keep Carlos Hyde, but Carlos Hyde, from what I've read, was not really happy in being in San Francisco, even though that we were growing with Jimmy Garoppolo, which just didn't make sense to me. So I think they're going to look at the safety position, and this is where I'm going to pick Minka Fitzpatrick from Alabama to work along with Richard Sherman, who could give you a reboot, a little bit of the Legion of Boom during his time at the Seattle Seahawks. Hopefully, Richard Sherman comes back well from his injury and return to that all-pro status we seen when he was at Seattle. So for this selection, I will go with a good tandem for Richard Sherman and Minka Fitzpatrick coming out of Alabama, who I said is very versatile, can play both corner and safety. Lastly, for this video, pick number 10 belonging to the Oakland Raiders. I mentioned they can use a cornerback, safety, linebacker, offensive tackle, and a defensive tackle. Now, for this particular pick, they could go offensive line like Mike McClinchy coming out of Notre Dame, but I think they're going to go at the linebacker position and a good versatile player. This is where I'm going to put Raquan Smith from Georgia, like I said before, for this particular selection. Now, there could still be some trades. I think that the Raiders can opt out and trade down to get a mid pick and still pick up either a good offensive lineman within that range, a good as far as projection wise. McClinchy looks more of a mid first round pick compared to a top 10 in most people's eyes. They can still pick him at number 10, but I think they're going to go with linebacker here, and I think they're going to go with the bigger prospect overall, and I believe that Raquan Smith is a bigger prospect than Mike McClinchy, and they do need a solid linebacker. So I'm going to have to go with Raquan Smith coming out of Georgia. So that wraps things up with all my first round selections. I do have two previous videos of picks numbers 11 through 20 and number 21 through 32 on two separate videos, but I just wanted to repost this video of my top 10 picks. Thank you for watching this blog. I'm your man Akeem McCall. Be easy.